in bed the other night and this wee story came into my head. I just couldn't get it out of it, and I tossed and turned all night. Something told me I had to get out of bed and write this story down. And when I did, I don't know what it is, but I just got this urge to share it with people. Quite simply, I'll just call my story A Christmas Spirit. 2 days before Christmas, I was walking down where I live in Belfast. Saturday morning, it was really cold and damp and wet. When we looked up at the street lights, you could just make out it was starting to snow. I turned the corner, making my way down the nearest cafe to get a fry, and most of all, I had a cup of tea. Out of a dark alleyway, I heard a voice saying, "Sir, I'll be a couple of Bobby Grandas for a cup of tea." I turned round. It was an old tramp, non-mate of no change, and I walked on. But when I walked on a couple of yards, I turned round and I said to him, "Are you hungry?" He didn't say anything. He just nodded his head, and I said, "Well, come on." I walked into the cafe. We took our seats. You could hear a pin drop in it. Everybody was staring at us. And do you want to know something? I didn't care. I wasn't embarrassed, because I knew this guy had a story to tell, and I wanted to hear it. He got torn into his fry. He must have had it record time. As a joke, I said to him, "Do you want another one?" He says, "Yes, son, no problem." Gave him another one. I said to him, what's your name?" He said, "My name's Sam." I said, "Sam, you have a story to tell, and I want to hear it." He says, "Son, I'm married to my childhood sweetheart. We're happily married for about 4 or 5 years, and we had our first child, a bouncing baby boy. He grew up well at school, and he got himself a good job. In fact, he joined the police force. He was only in it 2 or 3 months when he was killed on patrol one night. There's a tear coming down his eye when he was telling me, but I didn't want to stop him, because I don't know what it was, but I wanted to see where that story was going. He told me his wife couldn't handle the death of their boy, and she just left. He was devastated, obviously, with his wife leaving and his son dying. He lost his job, he lost his home, and that's how he ended up out in the street. I said to him, I said, "Sam, your son was shot 3 times. And he looked up at me. I was able to say to him, he was shot in the hand, one in the leg and one in the chest. But that didn't kill him. It was actually the heart attack." He says, "How do you know this?" His eyes were just staring at me. And he looked up at me. He says, how do you know this?" And I wasn't scared to say to him. I says, "Mate, you called your son David?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, he's sitting beside you." His face went into shock. He says, "Pardon?" I says, "He's sitting beside you, and he's telling me. He's showing me what happened to him." He's also saying to me, he still likes that you still carry the old black and white photograph of himself, you and his mum. You keep it inside your pocket. So he put his hand inside the pocket and pulled out the photograph, and there it was, the black and white photograph of the 3 of them. I said, "I can't explain this to you. He's sitting beside you and he's telling me everything that happened. So David I Trump said to me, I want to go now. I said, that's no problem. So I called the waitress over. I says, can I pay the bill? And the waitress said to me, the bill's been paid for. And I said, he paid it. She said, it's funny, a young man came over, paid the bill. When I turned around to give him his change, he was away. In fact, she looked at the photograph and says, that's a young man there, I paid it. And Dave, the Trump said, pardon? And the girl says, that's a young man there, I paid the bill. He was in shock. So the two of us are walking down the street. And I said to him, your son is really worried about you. He wants to know what you're going to do. He turned around and said to me, do you tell my son? I says, tell him yourself. He's standing beside you. He's walking down this. He says, I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to get a shave. I'm going to get a job. And I'm going to get my wife back. And do you want to know something? I believe everything what he said. And I know his son believed him too. Because his son just left in peace. Through the year, people are down their luck. But especially come to Christmas, I would imagine it's a wee bit harder for them. It's like a car that's been broke down. All you need is someone to give you a kickstart and you're up running again. On that note, myself and my little granddaughter would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Get off.
Come here, you. He's got something to say to you as well. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.